Last lesson, lesson 5, the 3 types of boundaries. So you should be able to identify the 3 types of boundaries and identify what can happen for each plate boundary based on the types of crust involved. And we will do some drawing notes with this part of the unit so you kind of get a better idea of what's actually happening in the process. So the 3 types of plate boundaries, we've got divergent, when plates move apart or divide. So when you think divergent, I want you to think divide. Okay, they start with the same first 3 letters. So when plates move apart, magma from the interior will rise. This can result in mid-ocean ridges, like the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. That's an example. This right here would be your Mid-Atlantic Ridge, going right down the center of the ocean there. And then we can get rift valleys like in Eastern Africa, which would be over here. We've got a rift valley that ends up forming. Convergent boundaries, plates move together or collide. This causes tremendous pressure and friction. The density of the plate determines which one gets pushed downward. So because they're colliding, something has to give, okay? One of them has to go under the other, or they have to somehow have some give because they can't just keep pushing against each other. This can result in severe earthquakes, subduction zones, which can give us trenches and volcanoes. The Andes volcanic mountains of South America, would be an example. So that would be right along here. Subduction zones can also give us island arcs. So the Aleutian Islands and Mariana Trench near Africa, that would be like off of here. We don't have the whole part of that, but so here would be your image of your island arc, where the subducting plate can then go underneath of the other oceanic plate, and then as it goes under, it melts, it comes up, makes some underwater volcanoes, which can then eventually form that island arc. Island arcs will always be along a plate boundary, unless that plate boundary obviously changes like we talked about before. Here we have our trench. The plate goes underneath, we get a deeper water level here, and then as this goes down, we can end up having the melting, which then causes our volcanoes. Convergent boundaries, also we can get mountains as well. The Himalayas, India collided with Asia, and the Appalachian, which is not an active boundary anymore, but Africa collided with North America when Pangea formed, so long ago. Is what they figure based upon the evidence of the rocks and the fossils and whatever else they've found to support that one. Okay, transform is the last one, and that is when our plates slide past each other in different directions. They can be called strike-slip boundaries. I typically just talk about transform, but if you hear the term strike-slip, I want you to be aware of what it's talking about. We do not get new or destroyed plate material with these. It's just the plates grind. It's kind of like taking and rubbing your hands against each other. They grind, and then it results in earthquakes and tsunamis if it's underwater. Earthquakes, San Andreas Fault Line in California is an example, and tsunamis off the coast of Japan. Japan often gets tsunamis that hit, but they form out in the ocean off of the coast of Japan. Plate tectonics and life on Earth. When land masses join together, diversity decreases just because of the fact that they're all using the same resources, so there's not near as many differences. But they're all interacting with each other, so the same species is going to keep reproducing with the same species. But when the land mass is split, our diversity increases because of the fact that as those land masses get further and further apart, the climate's going to change, the food options are going to change, and then if you have the same species that ends up on 2 different continents, they're gradually going to adapt to the environment, to the food sources, to dealing with predators and prey, and then they're going to change their characteristics some. So on small land masses, the animals are stuck there and must adapt, and they're cut off from competitors and natural enemies. So that's part of the reason why our diversity increases.